Well, this is the first time I've done a non live broadcast or whatever they call these things I'm doing, live videos on Facebook. Most of the time I do them live, right? You hear them as I'm doing them. This one I'm doing what they call me only. It means I'm the only one that sees it, unless I then change it to the whole world, so to speak. So we'll see whether I do that or not. This conversation, care to have, is about life and death and distinctions within. You could call it a visit to distinctions. Distinctions, as I use them, are the smallest part of judgment. They're the part of judgment that's the truth. Judgment is a general lie, if you will. I mean, it's a exaggerated word for a certain thing, but there is a distinction in it, in each thing that is the truth about the judgment. So this thing about judge not lest you be judged is not entirely correct because there's a distinction in it. When you see a person who lies constantly, then you know that person is a liar. And that's the distinction. So that's not a judgment if they are what it is that the distinction or judgment points towards. In that case, they're really both the same thing. So we could start with life and death. Life begins, unless you're one of those people who want to tell women what to do with their bodies, what they call them pro-life or non-abortion, or those people that want to control what women can and cannot do. They have weird ideas of when we're born, when life starts. I guess for them it's when the thing that guy shoots out hits the egg that the woman has, and boom, there's Edward's born. I'm speaking, however, as in the moment you were born, the moment you come into this world is your birth, when life starts, if you will. And then death normally is when you die. However, inside of language, there are distinctions. You could take birth and make it be the birth of a new idea, the birth of a new consciousness, which is what I am. I am the birth of a new consciousness. And then you could take the word death, and it could also be the death of your old consciousness, the death of your ego. So if we could take a look at some distinctions, starting with that, then we have our birth, and then we have a small sliver of time, something between 1 and 4 years of life. I'm going to use some distinctions here and then describe them or define them as we go along. So when we're born, we have 1 to 4 years, as I said, of life. And then we accept the consciousness, the world that our parents present us, and we psychologically die. We experience a death. it's the death of life, of living, and it's the birth of existing. Because we're born into a consciousness that is stuck in its past, ever repeating its past, ever going from war to war. So if you can consider these distinctions as the truth rather than just some nutcase expounding, then you might be able to discover for yourself what it is to gain life for yourself, to gain that thing that you gave away before you turned the age of 4, when you became a robot. The listening to this could be a little bit difficult for people because they already know everything, and these things that I present don't have much of or any history, if you will. So if we can continue here, the end of your life happens, end of your psychological life, I have to keep making distinctions here, happens when you invent your own ego. When you invent your own ego, that's when you make the decision to never be wrong again, or to win everything that you do, or to never make a mistake, or that's the same thing as never be wrong again, isn't it? And then we each invent our life from the ego that we invent, which is the ego that our parents somewhat pass on to us. Mostly, however, it's instilled into us, by us, not them. They do, or are the spark of it, they do demand that we bend to their will, that we use another distinction that I'm going to present here, which is language. As I've said before in these, if you've listened with me before, language was here long before we were born. And we accepted language, for the most part, as something that is. In other words, the word is the thing. When in actuality, the word is never the thing. So when we accept language, that the word is the thing, we then are frozen. We're stuck in our history. We are stuck ever repeating our past. There's a lot more to this, if you will, but I'm skipping through. Perhaps I will continue this train of thought, this possibility, this creation that has a possibility for manifesting in your mind. And that creation that I care to have manifesting in your mind is that you have been trained and conditioned to be a robot. And then you accepted the invitation. What's that? The Mission Impossible. If you decide to, maybe you're not old enough to remember the Mission Impossible TV show, but we each accepted the invitation. And since then, we have been the arbiters. We have been the inventors of our own prison. We invent our own prison, and then we blame them for putting us into prison. So this conversation about birth, death, life, and distinctions has to do with, is it possible to remove ourselves from, to escape from language, which is thought, which is knowledge and belief. Do you see the size of it? There's a thing called NDE that many people have had. If you maybe you even know some people who've had them, called near-death experiences. The reason it's called near-death experiences is because it's near death. They didn't die. The way to distinguish between that is when you're near death, you still have a thought process. You still live in time. The only thing you do is visit your beliefs, those things that you accepted in your young years, mostly before you even turned the age of 4. Because between you and death, total death, we have to have some distinctions here, don't we? There is the death of your ego. Now here's the secret, if you will. The secret is, can you die to your ego without dying completely? Do you see the tiny possibility of this? I'm saying, can you die to your ego, which you invented before you were 4 years of age? Can you find that space that was before you became your ego? Can you find the space between when you were alive and when you psychologically died? Do you see the reason? There's such a huge necessity for distinctions because they point to the truth of something. There can be a death of you that's not total death. However, it's still a death. It's the death of you, all of you, that you invented. Your ego, your have to be right, your I'm real pretty, I'm real gorgeous, I'm sexy, I'm too sexy for this shirt. You see, I'm really too sexy for this shirt, but I wore it so I could make the shirt proud that I wore it. Understand? So the secret about a near-death experience is, can you actually die to the essence of you? In this case, I'm using essence as in the you that you invented. Given we are born as creation, as intelligence, as truth, and you could call the encapsulated grouping of creation, intelligence, and truth, you could call that love. The one movement that makes, you could call that love. There is no love on this planet because we long ago gave up creation, intelligence, and truth in order to live in knowledge, thought, and belief. So, is it possible for any of you who might be listening to this, if I switch it from only me to what's that other one? Oh, public. By the way, I'm kind of discovering there's not a whole lot of difference, except you're kind of out there with no net when it's public to start with. Here, if I don't like something, I can not release it to the public, if you will. But so far, I like what I'm doing. My ego tells me that it's 14 minutes and 36 seconds, and I better shut up. So, is it possible for you to create some distinctions around the words birth, life, death, and the other considerations that I prescribed or presented here tonight. By the way, this is my first video since for a long time, I made this desk, put this new desk in here. I had to buy some lumber and put some screws in and get it all set up to get the proper distance from the video and get the right lighting. And I just realized I didn't turn my other light on that I had already for this. So the mistakes are still in my purview. They're still being made by yours truly. All right, I'll take a look at this and then I will, 99.9% possibility, change it from only me, only you can make my heart, to public. And then everybody can see it. A perfect life is sent to each of you. I wonder if you accept it or not.